Howdy, this is Karen with Karen Dawn Designs, and today I'm going to show you how to work with favorites on Ravelry. To find your favorites, you need to go to the My Notebook section on Ravelry and go down here to where it says Favorites. When you do that, you will get a list of everything that you have favorited. And if you notice, I've favorited quite a few things over the years. So this is a list of everything. It's sorted by the types of items that have been favorited and tags, and I will explain about each of those things in this video. But first, I'm going to show you the types of things that you can add to your favorites. There's quite a variety of the types of things that you can add to your favorites. So let's start with a designer. So to favorite a designer, go to the designer's portfolio page, and there you will see a button called Add to Favorites. Go ahead and click that, and it will pull up the dialog box for adding to favorites. I'm going to show you more about this dialog box in the next section, so for right now, I'm going to skip over it and just hit Save Changes. So now this designer is in my favorites. I'm going to have a specific design that I would like to favorite, a pattern. Here you go to the details page of a pattern, and once again there is an Add to Favorites button, so click that. It will pull up the dialog box and click Save Changes. Let's say that you have a forum post that you would like to remember and come back to and save. So you find the post that you would like to favorite, and up here beside the number of the post you see a faded heart. If you hover over that, it actually says favorite this post. So go ahead and click on that heart, and it will pull up the favorites dialog box. Click Save Changes, and now you can see that heart is filled in. So you have favorited this post. Another thing that you can favorite is someone else's project. This is really nice, to remember a project if you want to come back to it, and also just to show a little love to other Ravelry users that you really enjoyed looking at their project. So again, you go to the project page on Details, and you click Add to Favorites. The dialog box pops up, click Save Changes. Something else that you can add to your favorites is a specific yarn entry. This one happens to be one of my stash entries, but you can also favorite someone else's stash entry. So again, on the details page, go to Add to Favorites. And the dialog box pops up, click Save Changes. Something else you can favorite is a yarn brand. So if you want to keep track of a particular yarn brand, go to the overview page of that yarn brand. This is Round Table Yarns, and click Add to Faves. Same dialog box, Save Changes. Let's say that you want a specific yarn within a brand, a specific base. So this is still Round Table Yarns, but this is the Camelot base. You want to favorite the yarn base. So in the Details page, click Add to Favorites and Save Changes. And one thing I like about Ravelry is that the ads are usually things that I want to see. And maybe there is an ad that you want to remember and keep track of so you can come back to it. So you can even favorite an ad. So when you find an ad you want to save, hover over the ad with your mouse, and you will pull up this menu bar at the bottom. And one of those selections is Favorite. So if you click on that, you favorite the ad. So I've just added all of these items to my favorites. If I go back to my list and I refresh this page, it will show all of those things that I have just added to the list. So there is the yarn base, the yarn brand, the stash entry, and you can tell what each item is. It actually labels it. Here's the project, a forum post, a pattern, and a designer. Let's see, the ad did not show up. Let's refresh one more time. The ad is still not showing up. Says it's in faves. Let's try another ad. So we will favorite this ad, see if that one shows up. There it is. For some reason it didn't want to clip the first ad. So there is the ad that I have favorited. And again, you can see this list right here, and you can filter down to the specific things. So if you want to see which yarn brands, which yarn companies you have favorited, if you click on that, it will narrow it down to just those yarn companies that you have added to your favorites. And I'll show you more about how to filter and sort all of these favorites in another section of this video. Now let's go back to that dialog box that pops up whenever you click Add to Favorites. So this is a pattern that I want to add to my favorites. Let's take a look at a few things about the pattern that we might want to use as a tag. So the first thing, this is a cowl. It looks like it can be used with any weight of yarn from sport to Aran. It is something that uses brioche as a technique. So those are some of the things that we might want to keep in mind. And although this one has a range of yarn weights, let's pretend that it only works for sport weight, just for purposes of our tags. So that's a little bit of information we might want to keep track of in our favorites. So let's go ahead and click Add to Favorites and open the dialog box. So the first thing that you can do is add any notes or comments. So perhaps you're thinking about doing this with a particular yarn that you don't yet have in your stash, and you just want to remind yourself of what yarn you might want to use. Or maybe this is a brioche skill. Maybe that's something that you haven't quite learned yet, and you think this pattern might be a really good project for you to help learn that skill, or anything that you want to write as your notes or comments. You can also just leave this blank. It's completely up to you. But I am going to go ahead and put in a note just so you can see what that looks like. Yarn can be from sport to Aran. That might be something important to remember. So we'll put that in our notes. The other thing that you can do is add tags. This will help you when you are searching through your favorites. So a lot of times I like to add in the type of project it is. So it is a cowl. And the yarn weight, we're just going to enter sport here. I could put all the weights from sport to Aran, but for this demonstration, I'm just going to use sport. And since it uses brioche, I want to type in brioche as a tag, so that way I can remember that as well. Important note about tags, each word that you type becomes a tag. So if you have something that is more than one word, then you need to type it as one word with no spaces in order to make it its own separate tag. So for example, since this uses two colors, I might want to use two colors as a tag. However, if I actually type two different words, two colors, Ravelry is going to treat this as two separate tags. So you're going to have two as a tag and colors as a tag, which is probably not very helpful. So what you need to do is remove that space between the two words, and that will create one tag that says two colors. So keep that in mind when you are creating tags. So that's how to add tags. You can also create a bundle in your favorites. So these are some bundles that I already have. I'm going to flip back over to my favorites. And if you notice here, I have 3 bundles. So when I click on that, here are the 3 bundles that I have. And I can open those bundles and see only the projects that are added in there. So if you would like to actually sort your favorites as you add them, then you can go ahead and add it to a bundle. Let's say it's something that I want to add to an already existing bundle. All you need to do is click on the name of that bundle. So this is going to be for newsletter. And it will add a little box around the picture here, and that and make this bold, and that indicates that you have selected that bundle. If you don't want to do that, you can click on it again and unselect it. Let's say you want to start a new bundle, and have this pattern be the first in that bundle. You can create a new bundle, so click on that. You need to give a name to your bundle, so maybe find yarn for these projects. That's what I'm going to call my bundle, and hit create. Now I'm going to have a new bundle called Find Yarn for these projects. And it's already selected, so it's got that little outline and it's in bold. You can also see it down here selected. So that means it's going to put this favorite pattern into this bundle. So the last thing that you could do, if you would like to add this pattern to your wish list. So a wish list is something that other people can view and see that you do not yet own this pattern, but you would like to own it. So you can add it to your wish list. I actually already own this pattern, so I'm not going to do that. But that is an option that you can do for a pattern. So now we have added a note, added some tags, we've put it into a bundle. Now you can click Save Changes and it will save all of these things that we've added to this particular favorite. So now if I go back over here to my list of favorites, I'm actually going to look at everything that I've favorited. Notice that it both has added a new favorite, that pattern we just added, as well as a new bundle, the bundle that we just created. So let's look at the pattern we added. Here's the note that we put in. So yarn can be from Sport to Erin. And here are the tags that we put in. If at any point you want to make changes to that information, so if you want to change the note, all you have to do is hover your mouse over it and click on it. And that will make it so you can actually type in there. So maybe I want to put yarn can be from Sport to Erin, but I want to use Sport. And click Save, and now my note has been updated. If you want to edit your tags, you can click Edit Tags. And let's say we want to add something that is about the colors that we want to use. Maybe I know that I want to use gray and blue. So I'm going to add gray and blue as tags and click Save. You can also delete tags if you would like to take one away. Let's say I really don't want gray and blue. Notice that these tags have been reordered. They will be in alphabetical order. So I want to take the blue out. I want to take the gray out. And click Save. And now I'm back to my original tags. So you can add or remove tags at any point in your list. The other thing that you can now see is that it is in this bundle. So if I go back to my bundles, now there's a new one. I had 3 and now I have 4. So if I go into this bundle, I can see this pattern that is already in there. If I go back to my favorite bundles, I'll show you one that has a few more patterns. So this is a bundle that I've saved more than one pattern in. So you can see these are all my favorites that I have added to this particular bundle. So it's a really easy way of being able to save, especially patterns. But again, you can do this with other types of items. But especially patterns, it's a good way of sorting them and organizing them into ways that you can easily find in the future. Once you have things in your favorites, then, especially if you're like me and you have quite a few items, then you need to be able to sort through these favorites and find what you're looking for. So I'm going to click here to see all of my favorites. And up here, you can actually do a search for favorites. So if you know that there is a particular pattern and you kind of remember what the name is, or if you know that there's a tag that you want to search for, you can type it in up here. You can also do an advanced search, and I'm actually not going to show you this. I'm going to show you a different method to use advanced search. So really the easiest way within your favorites to sort is to use these sections over here. So if you know that you just want to look at forum posts, then you can click on that and quickly see all of your forum posts that you have favorited. So there are some forum posts that I've favorited. Or you can use the tags. So I'm going to go back to all favorites. And over here, I've got quite a few tags that I've used. So like I said, I usually try to favorite the type of, or tag the type of project. So a cardigan, and like the yarn weight. So here is DK weight. Sometimes, so an event, the Indie Design Gift Along, I've tagged things that have been in the gift along in particular years. I've tagged things, here's one, the crazy hat. My son had a crazy hat parade at his preschool, so I tagged a few things for that. Sometimes I will tag something for a particular person. So this is something for my husband. So there are lots of different ways that you can use tags, and that I have used tags over the years. So for example, let's say I want to find all of the blankets that I've tagged in the past. So I click on that blanket tab, and it pulls up everything that I have saved as my favorite and that I have tagged as a blanket. So I can scroll through and see some of the favorite blankets I have had over the years. So that's really handy if you actually have used your tags. If you have forgotten to add tags to something, there's probably a couple of blanket patterns in here that I have failed to add the blanket tag to. So I will show you in the next section what to do if you have not been quite as good about tagging things in your favorites. But before we jump there, I want to show you a couple of other things to sort and to use. Like I said in the previous section, you can always edit your tags if you do want to add some things. But one of the things that you can do is click on Not Tagged. So there are quite a few items, just under 400, that I have added that do not have tags. So this is a quick way of being able to see, okay, let me find something that's a pattern. Like this is a shawl pattern, and usually I would tag that as shawl. So let's go ahead and click Edit Tags, and I can type in shawl, and now it has that shawl tag. This one I know that I want to tag as a hat, so I can add that in. So this is a way that you can go through and check for things that do not have any tags at all. So see, here's a blanket right there that has not been tagged as a blanket. By the way, isn't that a really awesome blanket? So there's a blanket. And also, I was thinking about this for my son, so I can put for Luke in there. So this is a way that you can add tags to things that do not yet already have tags. And again, if you need to add additional tags, you would need to go to just everything, all your favorites, and kind of scroll through and start adding tags. So tags can be very useful, but like I said, sometimes you do forget to add tags. Clear that search. Sometimes you do forget to add tags, and maybe you want to do something like find all of the worsted weight sweater project or patterns that you have ever favorited, but you're not feeling sure that you have always added tags to items that are sweaters or that use worsted weight. So in the next section, I'm going to show you how you can still search through your favorites and find that even if you have not been using tags. So let's see if we can find all of the worsted weight sweaters that I have ever favorited. Like I said before, I could search my tags. I can find my tag for sweaters, and then I could find my tag for worsted weight, but I know that I've not always tagged everything. So instead, here's another way that you can do that. Go over here to Patterns and click on that. And once that comes up, you want to use the pattern browser in advanced search. So go ahead and click that link. So we said worsted weight sweaters. So over here we go to clothing, so category clothing, and we want to find sweaters, and I want to actually find pullovers, not cardigans. So pullovers, and then you can click the green X to close. So now I've done a Ravelry wide search of all of these sweaters. I want to add worsted weight. So I go down here to where it says weight and I check worsted. Then here's the trick. Now what I'm finding is all of the worsted weight sweaters in the Ravelry database. But that's not what I want. I want to find the ones that I have already favorited. So if you keep scrolling down, find the section that says My Notebook. And notice right here it says In My Favorites, 48. So click that checkbox there, and now it will show you the 48 sweater patterns that I have in my favorites. And you can tell that by all these little hearts that are right here. So these are all of my sweater patterns made out of worsted weight yarn that I have favorited over the years. This way I don't have to rely on whether or not I have added tags to those favorites. I actually use the advanced search feature on Ravelry's patterns and find all of these. This is a much faster way and you don't have to worry so much about tags. In fact, since I discovered how to do this, I don't use tags quite as much. I still use tags for things like maybe brioche, since there's not a super quick way to find that. Actually, you can go to fabric characteristics right there, brioche, so that's wrong. So maybe the for Luke, so knowing that I want to do something for my son, I might still use that tag because that's not something that I can use the Ravelry advanced search for. So this is a really nice way of being able to go through your favorites and find a particular pattern. You can also do this, if you notice, you can search designers and yarns and stash and brands. So you can actually use these advanced search features and search other types of things that you've tagged. But I find it most helpful to use for patterns. So if you think of favorites like bookmarks, that's probably the most useful way of thinking about how you can use them and how they can be helpful. I hope you found this video tutorial helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. You can leave a comment here on YouTube, or you can find me on Ravelry as Karen Dawn. Thanks, and happy knitting!